Welcome to Discover the Duncan Difference, a Duncan Financial Group podcast. Discussions in the show should not be construed as specific recommendations or investment advice. Always consult with your investment professional before making important investment decisions. Securities offered through registered representatives of Cambridge Investment Research Incorporated, a broker-dealer, member FINRA, SIPC. Advisory services through Cambridge Investment Research Advisors Incorporated, a registered investment advisor. Cambridge and Duncan Financial Group are not affiliated. Welcome to Discover the Duncan Difference podcast. Today, I have special guest David Duncan with us, who is also my dad. So this is going to be a really fun episode because you have been at Duncan almost as long as Duncan has been around.
That's right.
So it's going to be fun. We're going to go through how Duncan started, how we got here today, what my dad does, and more. So to get started, can you bring us back all the way to when Duncan actually started in 1978 and just give us an idea of kind of PAPS and how he got started, how he got into that, and where you guys were kind of as a family at that point?
Sure. Yep. You bet. So Dad got started in the insurance business in the 1960s with Metropolitan Life, mostly selling life insurance and annuities. And then in the mid-60s, he went to Liberty Mutual, where he was also able to sell property and casualty insurance, mostly personal lines. In 1972, Jim Hutchins, who ran an organization called Hutchins Agency, had the need for a partner. He wanted somebody to be his perpetuation plan. And so he had both a real estate and an insurance agency. And my dad bought into 50% of each back in 1972. Then in 1978, Jim decided to retire from the insurance business. So my dad bought the other half of the insurance business from him and sold him his half of the real estate business. So Jim was just able to fool around a little bit and being in the real estate business. And Dad was obviously very focused and very serious about the insurance business. So that was 1978. Then in 1979, what I wanted to do was to become a professional baseball player. But unfortunately, no professional baseball teams wanted me to be a professional baseball player. So I had to have a plan B. Of course, Dad's agency was a very convenient thing to do. So I decided to join him in 1979. So that was a very beginning. That's 45 years ago now.
Yeah,
it's hard to believe.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
So you wanted to be a pro baseball player. Did you have a lot of interest in the financial end of it? Did that just you happen into that? Like, I know you went to school for business, but like, what made you want to do that? Like, why didn't you want to do the insurance, I guess, side of it with your dad? Like, you went into it as wanting to be a financial advisor.
Well, actually, I started out just doing insurance.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
Home insurance, and then started doing some small commercial. And it was just a lot of activity going on in the mergers and acquisition world. Banks were buying insurance companies were buying securities firms. There was a lot of convergence and consolidations in the financial services field. And I thought, well, this would be a good time to become a one-stop shop for clients that need all these financial products and services. And by offering them all, we're not forced to shove a product down someone's throat that didn't really need it.
Right.
Some people who only have one product line, they've got to get you to buy their product. That's how they make a living. Whereas since we offered all these products and services, it was just simply matching the right product and service to the client's need.
Yeah.
And then of course, once a client becomes a client, then it becomes a lot easier for them to utilize the other services that they didn't start with.
Yeah. I guess that's my next question too. Like, did you always see it as becoming that? That was kind of always your vision from the time that you started, because it's kind of incredible how, it's grown from just a little insurance agency to now all the things that we offer today. So you always had that vision for it?
Yes. Yeah. I always knew that that's the end of the game, but it obviously took a long time. I was the fifth employee, so we didn't have a lot of resources there in the beginning. So I had to build these other businesses from scratch. Gradually, a little bit at a time. So it took.
And you had to find the right people to do that, because you
Absolutely.
didn't have expertise in every aspect of it. So you wanted to make sure you were bringing in people that did have that expertise.
I started every business. So I was an enrolled agent with the IRS or tax department, obviously a certified financial planner. Yes. I was an enrolled agent, believe it or not.
That's incredible.
So I started doing one of the product lines myself. So I knew enough to be dangerous, but I also knew enough that we need someone who's focused on this. You can't do it all. Even back in the 1980s, you couldn't wear all those hats and be good at it. I mean, and
Right.
especially today with how complex each of these different product lines has become, you have to be a specialist to serve your clients effectively.
Yeah, absolutely. And so then Uncle John joined a few years after you, correct?
Yep,
And he was mainly personal insurance?
Yep, he joined in 1983, and he sold mostly personal insurance, but gradually started selling commercial insurance too.
Yeah. And so that was like, what, 10 or 15 years then that you guys were with PAPS, and you guys were just kind of like a 5 to 10 people agency?
Yeah, we started growing in the mid 80s. I think, in the mid 80s, I think we were around 12 people, maybe 10 to 12 people. And then we just, kept hiring people. We acquired a few agencies. A big stepping stone for us was when Kraft, Kellogg, and Patterson from Monroeville and Locus and Diffendorfer from here in North Huntington, they merged their businesses into ours. So that gave us, I believe, 33 or 34 employees in that one fell swoop. So that was that was a big chunk there. But then, then we just kept growing, and it's been good.
Yeah, that's amazing. So that was the early 90s, that merger?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow, I didn't know that.
It was November of 1996. Mm-hmm. It was right before Paps passed away.
Oh, wow.
It was November of the year before he passed in February.
Wow.
So it's
and then that happened. So Pap suddenly passed away. Mm-hmm. And that was something that me and Brian had kind of talked about, because I was asking Brian what he had learned from that. So that must have been so much for you. And it was so good that you guys had the right things in place, the succession plans in place, the life insurance in place, that you guys continue on, because, you guys lost your dad and Selma lost her husband, and you didn't have to then worry about how you guys were going to scramble to make everything work. It kind of was all set in place for you guys.
Right.
So how was that experience for you guys? And then how did you kind of move forward from there, to like honor PAPS?
In addition to all the things you just said, which are all accurate, we had just merged 12 people into the business a couple of months earlier. So it was definitely a challenging time. And again, what made it all possible was the life insurance that Dad had purchased in the 1980s when he really didn't have to. He bought much more life insurance than our agency was worth, figuring that it would grow in the future, and damned if he wasn't right. So he had, and the value of our business grew dramatically from the mid 80s to the late 90s. And, we were able to give Mom the life insurance proceeds from the policies to be able to buy out Dad's interest in the company. We still owed her quite a bit of money. We still had to pay her quite a bit of money every month, but it wasn't backbreaking.
Right.
If that insurance hadn't been in place, it would have been backbreaking. We'd have been able to do it, but we wouldn't have been able to grow the company anywhere near the way we've been able to grow it since then. So it was the planning he did back in the 1980s that allowed our agency not just to continue to survive, but to prosper.
And so losing him, what was that like kind of for the company? Obviously, that's your father, so I can't imagine losing him so young, but what was that like for then the company, like moving forward from that? Because he was such a big piece of that.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I stepped into the chief executive role there at his passing, and it was busy because I was growing my own clients. I was growing our outside independent advisor business, and having to take the day-to-day responsibilities was quite a bit. But you adapt, improvise, and overcome, and
then you did it for 40 more years after that.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that. You just touched on it, the outside advisor. So when did that start, when we started helping outside financial advisors?
Yeah, I was achieving a lot of success in the mid to late 1980s with life insurance, annuities, financial planning services, securities, etc. So the people in the Travelers office in Pittsburgh, they had a financial services office there staffed with employees. And they approached me and said, look, you could also leverage your time and energy by working with other key Travelers agents in the Pittsburgh region here and work jointly with them and offer our products. I said, well, yeah, that sounds like a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
So that's, for example, how the relationship with Kraft, Kellogg, and Patterson started. I started working jointly with Jim and his clients, and then gradually we just kind of grew that from, again, from nothing to, I'm not sure what that business does today in revenues, but it's millions of dollars in revenues that's
amazing.
For us.
Yeah. So it's just like a kind of being in the right place at the right time, but also building that network and those relationships was kind of how you were able to build all of that.
Right. Yeah.
so early on? Because I don't feel like it was like it didn't take you 25 years to do that. You were just every year kind of building on what you had started.
Right, exactly.
That's awesome. That's amazing. Okay, so what did you do? You were the chief executive officer, and you were doing the financial advising.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do now at Duncan?
Well, your brother, Brian, my son, is now the CEO of the company. We gave him that responsibility back in 2022, and he's doing a fabulous job. And most of my focus now is just helping people invest money. I'm the investment advisor. We manage quite a bit of assets here at Duncan Financial Group, and that's my main focus. Now, I still get involved in a lot of things like the strategic side of our business planning. Brian and I and the rest of the leadership team will work together to create our long-term strategic plan. And I occasionally get involved with clients that somebody else handles, but where they end up with having some problems, mostly in the 401k world. I'll get involved in that. But that's the vast majority of what I do is just investment advising.
Yeah. Fascinating. So what is your favorite part about what you've kind of built here? Like, what is the best part of owning this and then kind of being able to hand it down to Brian and being able to work with your brother? Like, what's the best part about Duncan Financial Group, do you think?
Yeah, that's not necessarily an easy question. Because
it's a loaded question.
Well, there's a lot of good things. There's a tremendous amount of things. And I suppose that it's all the people we've helped. Whether it was with a life insurance policy that kept the family intact and be able to live with dignity, whether it was handling people's investments and help them retire early, maybe earlier than they thought, but perhaps a little more cushion than they thought, helping young people with businesses invest their money in their 401k plans so they could someday be able to retire, whether it's helping someone who's had an auto accident or fire. I think about all the people we've helped over the years. I think that's the best thing about being part of Duncan Financial Group for so long.
Yeah. I would have to agree. I mean, it's pretty incredible. I've seen it growing up, but actually being able to be a part of it now, it's so special to really see how many people we help on a daily basis, how much our employees are there for people when they really need it. And like you said, there's so many different things. It ranges from car accident or a fire at their business to, it's a sudden loss of a loved one or, trying to retire. There's just so many things that we can help people with. And it's so much more than just, making money or, it's just so much more than anything that you can quantify. Yep. It's so much deeper than that.
Yeah, what really stands out in my mind is the first life insurance death claim that I settled. I probably wasn't more than 26 or 27 years old, if that. And the family was able to live in dignity and actually they prospered financially. Because of that life insurance policy that their deceased husband purchased, and we were able to help them grow their wealth through investing that wisely. And I also think of another example. We had a client who owned a business that we had just taken over their insurance within, I think, less than 2 years, and their business burned completely down. The client was in Florida on vacation at the time, and he's said many times that if it wasn't for our advice, Dave Lang, our commercial insurance specialist, the changes that Dave made to his policy kept him in business. If he had not met Dave Lang and made the changes that he needed to make to get the right amount of coverage, the right type of coverage, he would have been bankrupt under his old policy. So, and think about that business owner. I believe he employs about 45 or 50 people. Think about the lives that what Dave Lang did, how many lives that impacted.
Yeah, absolutely. Lives, families. It's just incredible, really, to be able to help people on that with that type of magnitude. And that it really is. It's something very special. And we still get. It's been 10 years since that fire, and we just got a thank you note. Actually, it's just incredible. The relationship that then follows after something like that is pretty amazing.
That 10-year follow-up note on the anniversary of that fire brought tears to my eyes.
Yeah.
As you can tell, that happens quite a lot.
Yeah, it really is something very special, and it's awesome for us to be a part of it. Me, I know that Nate, my little brother, is very thankful to be a part of it. It's really incredible to see, and it all started from our grandpa taking that risk and betting on himself basically to be able to do it, and it's really awesome to see that.
Yeah, and don't forget Lance. Lance is behind the scenes. He's a manager in our insurance department, a data specialist, but Lance has been a big contributor to our company too.
He has been, and he's my neighbor who gives me chocolate all the time. So he's my favorite coworker for sure.
Good, that's good.
Yeah, and then it's just cool to see how you and Jump were able to take something that was really awful, and you guys were still able to grow the business. And Uncle John is obviously in more of like the commercial. That's really where he spends his time. That's his specialty. He loves it over there.
Yep.
And you are more on that, like the financial side, the investment, the financial planning, all of that. Did you ever think that you would do anything else, or is that when you were young you were just like, this is other than professional baseball?
Yeah. I didn't love commercial and personal insurance. It was okay, but I did fall in love with what I did when we got into financial services. There's a line in the song, "Do what you love and call it work."
Yeah. Yes.
I've been fortunate enough to be able to do that. I really, really love what I do. That's why I have no plans on retirement. I'm going to work for as long as I have my health, and I really love what I do.
Yeah, nobody's going to get you to stop working, that's for sure. Okay, can we change gears a little bit and talk more about, we have Duncan Advisor Resources, which is where we help financial advisors with their own businesses. So it's more of what we call the wholesale. So if you could touch on that a little bit, how you grew that and what we do on that end.
Yeah. So it started real small, like I said earlier, working jointly with local Travelers agents here, and helping them do their financial services business. And there was a watershed event in 1994. Travelers was shifting their focus, and what they had is their distribution system was employees that were in field offices that helped agents sell financial services business. Well, they found out, and many other companies did too, that that's a very, very expensive distribution system. I don't know why I still remember this number, but they were paying $2.30 for every dollar of premium, life insurance premium they were bringing in the front door. That wasn't working, so they had to change their focus. So they went to a distribution system of general agents. So people like me became general agents, which basically means we're independent contractors. We're not on salary. We don't have a pension. We don't have an expense account. We don't have benefits like all their employee people did back in the day. So when their sales go up, their revenues and expenses go up. But when their sales go down, so do their expenses.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So they needed someone to run the Western PA area, be the GA for the Western PA area. So I said, sure, we'll be happy to do that. And then there was a gentleman up in Erie who was going to run the Erie business, the Erie district, and he all of a sudden was making noises like he was going to leave and go to another insurance company and another broker dealer. So they asked me, hey, Dave, could you cover Erie also? I said, well, yeah, sure, no problem. And then he called me back again and says, Dave, we don't have anybody in Eastern Pennsylvania that can do this job. Would you mind handling Eastern Pennsylvania too? And I said, well, yeah, but I got to have the middle. I got to have the Harrisburg marketplace too.
Yeah.
And they said, well, okay. So they gave me the entire state of Pennsylvania.
Wow.
It wasn't something that created a lot of revenue because there was a number of people who were already general agents. They became sub-general agents under us.
That makes sense.
Our margin on that was very, very thin. But it did create and help me build a lot of relationships. And almost coincident with that was our joining the Keystone Insurers Group. Our property and casualty business joined the Keystone Insurers Group in the mid-90s, right around the time Travelers was making these changes. So we now had a couple dozen other additional relationships, Keystone agents that we could talk to about helping them with their securities, life insurance, annuities, long-term care, whatever the case may be. And that's when we really, 1994, 1995 is when we really started that business going real good, real fast. And then it took another jump in 2010 when we had a guy that joined us that was an excellent recruiter, and he helped us really build that it's now a significant part of our business.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's so cool to see it too, because we offer such a benefit to financial advisors who, maybe on their own don't have all the resources that they need. They might not be able to figure it out, or they know that they need it, but they can't, do it because they don't have the time. And then we kind of come in and can help them to do all of that.
Right. Like a lot of, you would consider us a branch office for our securities broker dealer Cambridge and our registered investment advisory firm. Most branches really only do compliance and supervision, maybe some marketing support and ideas, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Because they're all wholesale. Most of the companies and people who are in that end of the business, the branch office, are wholesale only. Because of our significant retail capabilities, we can leverage those retail capabilities to help these advisors do additional business.
Yes.
So as you were alluding to earlier, let's say an advisor is really, really good at wealth management, but really he's got a big customer that's a 401k plan, says, hey, can you help me out with my 401k plan, Mr. Advisor? Mr. Advisor's, he's never done one before. Well, he can call us, and Alex Klein or Rob McElmon or Tim Kunkel or somebody is able to either get in a car or get in a plane and go see them and help them capture that 401k business that they otherwise wouldn't have been able to.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, and the same, if some reps outsource their investment management business to third-party money managers. So we've built our own third-party money management capability at Duncan Walsh Advisors is the name of the organization.
Yeah.
And so if a rep wants to outsource their their securities management, they can outsource it through us.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's such a benefit to those people. So it's just incredible, because I got to actually see when we went down for our branch meeting, just how many people there are involved. Obviously not everybody's able to make it to the branch meeting, but it's just like amazing to see them all together and be able to see the benefit of that for each of them. It's awesome.
Yep. And in that business, just like in our retail businesses, we treat the reps, they're our clients. They have their own clients.
Right.
But the reps are our clients, and we treat them like clients.
Yeah, and we take care of them. Right. Yeah, absolutely. So back to PAPS and kind of his legacy and what you guys have built here. Can you tell me a little bit about PAPS? Talk about him a little bit, and why he started Duncan, what the culture kind of was with him here. I know he was big on community. If you could just talk a little bit about what him and what he was like, because I have memories of him, but I can't even really remember him. It's so cool to hear so many stories. I like Lisa Brown, who's here, she has great stories about him, or even people that I meet through our insurance, the people that we've acquired. It's just amazing to hear different stories from people that I don't even expect to hear the stories from.
Right. Well, dad and mom, both started out very modestly. I was born during my dad's freshman year in college. So unfortunately, dad had to quit school. He was a walk-on recruit at the University of Pittsburgh as a quarterback. And he had to give up his college career in order to make a living to support his wife and my mom and I. And then in the early 60s, like I said, he got into insurance with MetLife, and he was a good learner. I mean, he really was able to learn the business and apply the business very, very quickly and very efficiently. The same when he got into property and casualty insurance with Liberty Mutual. He really was able to grasp the business and understand the business. He certainly had a passion for the business, and he also had a passion for helping people. By coming into the business as he did, he was able to focus on taking care of his customers, not having to generate revenue and to generate wealth. He was able to do what's right for the customer, and he always told me that. He says, Dave, when you get into the business here, if you take care of your customer, you're going to be fine. It doesn't matter whether you're okay or average or not so good at all the other things like accounting and taxes and human resources and those kind of things, mergers and acquisitions. If you take care of your customer, it'll make up for any shortfall in that area. You're going to be fine.
Yeah.
But if you don't take care of your customer, no matter how good you are at all those other things, you're eventually going to fail. So he was always customer focused, and we've continued to build the business on that foundation of taking care of your customers. We believe that if we take care of our customers, everything else will take care of itself. And that's certainly been the case through here. He was a real active guy. He was a very great athlete in high school. He played football, basketball, and baseball. He was a quarterback of the football team. He continued to play softball well into his 40s. He loved golf. I have a few regrets in life, and one of them is I wish I would have played more golf with my dad whenever I was young. And I was raised in a family, and it didn't always really have the time. But coaching you guys in sports was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But I wish if I had to do it all over again, I'd have found a way to play a little bit more golf with my dad. I did play some, but it would have been nice to have played more.
Yeah, because you didn't know how much time you had with him.
Right.
You don't ever know that. So
he passed away at age 57, which is
very young.
Pretty young. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But he built a strong foundation, and he taught us the right things, and we miss him, but we're glad he was part of our lives.
Yeah, he's so missed, but it's amazing how his legacy has continued on through you and Jump and Lori and Lisa, and having Lori, who we call Bubs here, is just like, it almost feels like you still have a little piece of him in all of us.
Absolutely.
Especially in Bubs, because she's so involved in the community, and she's just such a positive, she's just so much fun to be around. You can't be around her and not feel positive and happy. So I think it's just amazing to still, even though I don't have a ton of memories with him, you can still feel him within these walls. And when you go to grandma's, you can still, feel that he's here with us, which is, I think, for anybody, for me, when I leave my children, that's the best that you can hope for, that they're continuing on what you have taught them.
That's right. And as you were mentioning about the community service, he was very, very big on community service. The things that we've done over the years, whether it's sponsoring Rec League basketball, Rec League baseball, Rec League girls softball, Norman School District, the Irwin community. I mean, I don't have any way to verify this, but I got to believe that the only organization in this community that's given more money to the community is a combination of Irwin Bank, now S&T Bank. They may have done a little bit more than we have, but we've certainly done a tremendous amount of help in the community.
Yeah, definitely. Not only monetarily, but I think we've put our hands and our feet to work as well.
Right.
It's been pretty awesome to see how many people here will just, give up their time and really actually put in some work for the community. It's really awesome to see that, because that's something that I know that he would be super proud of.
Yeah. And I don't want to forget Casey. Casey has been putting a lot of money in the community too. He's
that's
done
true.
A lot of things. I'd be remiss without mentioning him and his firm.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. If there was somebody who maybe is watching this and doesn't work with us and is maybe thinking about, switching over to Duncan or working with us, is there something that you would say to them?
Sure. I guess I would say that we give very, very objective advice. We charge people a fee for our investment advice and our financial planning services. So we're not beholden to have to push you into any certain product or sell some what they call proprietary products. We're able to sell products from every mutual fund company in the world, every insurance company in the world. We're objective and we're fee-based, and we're going to give you advice across the board, not just about your investment portfolio, but not only how to do your taxes, but also how you reduce your taxes. Tax planning is something very big that we do, but we'll also prepare your taxes too. Estate planning, obviously making sure you have the right insurance programs and make sure you have enough liability insurance, because that's usually your biggest risk is potential liability. We advise you objectively and across the board.
Yeah, absolutely. We can do it pretty much all for you.
Right.
Yeah. I love that. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Dad. It was so nice to have you here. You will be back again, just so you know.
Oh, good. Okay. I'm glad to know that.
Yes.
Good deal.
And thank you guys for watching. We drop every Monday, 8 a.m., wherever you find your podcasts. Bye, guys.
Thank you.